Hi friends, welcome to another Draw with Sandy at the Little Artistic Nook. Today we'll be drawing this cute little lamb. So let's get started. To begin, we're going to come to the center of our page to draw out the little lamb's nose, which is just a small heart. From the bottom of the heart, we're going to draw out a small line that will start her mouth, and then you can add a smile or a half smile or any kind of mouth that you like. Then we're going to come back up to beside her nose to start drawing her eyes, which will be large ovals. So make one oval on each side of her nose. The bottom of the eye is pretty much right beside the top of her nose. Then we're going to add in the highlights by drawing a large circle coming from the top of the eye and then a heart just beneath the first larger highlight. You can go ahead and shade in your eye around the highlights now, or you can wait until you're ready to color your whole picture. Because I've decided to make my little lamb a girl, I'm going to draw in her eyelashes by bringing my pen back to the top of her eye and just tracing around the top and then creating a small little flick that comes out of the side. I'm going to put 2 eyelashes on each eye. Then I'm going to draw in her cheeks by starting just at one side and sweeping a curved line underneath the eye and closing it on the other, and repeating the same thing under the second eye. To give myself some guides for her face, I'm going to put 2 little dots, one on each side of her face, about centered to the height of her eye. Then I'm going to connect these dots by drawing a curved line, something that looks kind of like a really shallow bowl, to connect the 2 dots. Then I'm going to add in her ears, and her ears are turned down, so start by making a small curved line that curves away from her face and touches this bottom line, and then make the same line on the other side. Then you're going to create a mirrored line so that the bottom of her ear comes to a point and the top remains open. Finally, add a third line that also meets at the bottom so that it still stays pointy, and now you will have 2 open spaces at the top. Then to close off the top of her head, I'm going to draw in her wool by creating a series of small little loops or curves, almost as if I'm drawing a nice fluffy cloud on top of her head. So I'm going to make sure that I cover over any opening on the ear so that there's no little spaces between her head and her wool. And I just put a small marker at the center so that I can bring her wool up a little bit higher, centered of her head. When we plan out the body, my lamb is going to have 2 legs that are in front and 2 legs that are behind. So I'm going to start by making 2 markers that are just coming out centered of her eyes, and then 2 more marks that come out just on the outside edges of her cheeks. To start the front legs, I'm going to draw my curvy little lines to indicate the wool straight down towards the bottom of the page. And then, coming towards the center of her body, I'm going to make the same line but curving the opposite way and making it a little bit shorter. You want your lines to meet at the same point at the bottom. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, for the second front leg. When you've drawn in your 2 legs, we're going to go ahead and create her little feet by just making 2 little rectangles, one on the bottom of each leg. And then I'm just going to fill them in with my black pen. Next, we're going to go back to her head and find those other 2 markers, which are going to be the back of her body. So to begin, I'm just going to draw some little curves that come close to her front legs. They can touch, or there can be a little bit of a space. And this is just going to indicate part of her body before we draw her back legs. My lamb is sitting, so I'm going to draw her back legs angling down. So starting with the top, draw out your little curves as if it's moving towards the bottom of your page. Then to draw the bottom of her leg, you're going to draw those curves straight across whatever you imagine she would be sitting on. Don't forget to show her body behind her 2 front legs, especially if there's a space. And then coming to the other side, you can draw your second leg, curving the top towards the bottom of your page, and then drawing your little wool straight across the bottom. To make her feet on her back legs, I want her little toes to be pointing upwards. So I'm making a rectangle, but my top line is going to point towards the top corner of my page. And then finally, I'm going to give her a little bit of a cuter expression by adding in some tiny little eyebrows. So that's my cute little lamb, but I think she needs some place to be. So I'm going to draw in a nice little flowery meadow. To begin, I'm going to start by drawing out the grass. So finding a spot that's a little bit higher than her foot, I'm going to start drawing out a little squiggly line with some little triangles or little flicks that are going upwards to indicate grass. Then I'm going to come in just behind her and start to draw my first tulip. So just taking a really nice easy line. It can be curvy, it can be straight. That will be the stem for my flower, and then I'm going to add my raindrop petals. To make the top of the flower, I'm going to create a big U, and then starting from one side, I'm going to curve back towards the center of that U, and then going to the other side, create a second curve. You can close your tulip by putting a little upside down V in between your front 2 petals. I'm going to make another flower on the second side, doing the same thing, drawing out my stem, creating my front 2 petals, and then connecting them with my back petal or an upside down V. Don't forget to add some leaves. And if you'd like to add more flowers, feel free to do so. I'm going to give my little lamb some cute friends though. So to begin, I'm going to start a small butterfly. To draw my butterfly's body, I make a really tiny, long raindrop shape, or it looks kind of like a little baby carrot. Then I'm going to start at the rounded end of the body to draw one big curve. And then just below that, I'm going to draw a smaller curve. Going to the other side of my butterfly's body, I'm going to try my best to mirror those shapes. Then, coming back to the top of the butterfly's head, I'm going to draw out 2 antennae and just top them with 2 little dots. And I think my lamb needs just a few more friends, so I'm going to draw in 2 more butterflies, just following the same pattern, drawing out the body, and then adding in the wings one side at a time. I think this little lamb looks pretty peaceful here in this flowery, butterfly-filled meadow. And And that, friends, is our little lamb. Thank you so much for drawing with me today. I can't wait until next time for another Draw with Sandee at the Little Artistic Nook. So in the meantime, keep making art and keep smiling.